We're going to start very simply. The first gesture we're going to do is we're going to hug our knees in and drop our head down for a moment. So starting in this little protected shell of darkness. And just take a couple moments, hugging your knees in, squeezing in, and with your eyes closed. And maybe you need to like massage your legs a little bit or massage your arms a little bit, whatever you're feeling like you need. Good morning, Stephanie. And with your next inhale, roll up your chest, lift up your head, and we're going to start in Swan Pose. So you're going to bring your right knee in front of your right hip, stretch your left leg straight back, and we're going to start by taking about 5 breaths with our chest lifted, shoulders pulling back, heart lifting up. You really can reach through like you're trying to stretch your big toe further back. Good morning, good morning. And if you need blankets or blocks, feel free to grab it. Or if you need to bend your left knee, feel free to bend it. And then start to walk your hands forwards and come into sleeping swan. Now the full posture really is to stretch your arms up over your head so your hands are on the floor and your forehead's on the ground. But if you need to make little adjustments to make it suit your body or suit your morning, your first couple breaths of any yin pose is this kind of wiggling, adjusting, fine-tuning of the posture. And then it's really that you want to let your heaviness kind of drop to the floor here. Yes, wait a minute. You don't want a pillow? Mm-hmm. Stretch through your left toe to feel the whole inside of your left leg straight and extended. And this morning we're going to start with a Steiner verse. And I'm going to take some privilege with the translation and put it into words that are more contemporary. Once upon a time, the stars spoke to humans. It is world destiny that they are silent now. To be aware of the silence can become pain for earthly beings. But in the deepening silence, there grows and ripens what humans speak to the stars. To be aware of the speaking can become strength for spirit man. Once upon a time, the stars spoke to humans. It is world destiny that they are silent now. To be aware of the silence can become pain for earthly humans. But in the deepening silence, there grows and ripens what we can say to the stars. To be aware of the speaking can become strength for spirit. So today, is the new moon in Capricorn. And these cycles happen so quickly. We go new moon to full moon, 2 weeks, right? And then full moon to new moon, 2 weeks-ish. We can feel it as somehow part of this rhythmical breathing process. We see these processes in lots of different places. You see it in how plants work. We see it even in the rhythm of seasons. We see it in the way the waves crash against the shore. You got it, Akiko. We just started on the right side, pigeon pose. And you might want to linger there a little bit after we change into the left side. Yeah, cool. So the beginning, the new moon, it's dark. We can't see it, which is such a beautiful picture of beginnings, because these humble, dark beginnings are so often unnoticed, quiet. Without the fanfare blazing announcement. The sign of Capricorn, that's like from about December 19th to January 21st, something like that, ish. The sign, it's a goat, a horned goat is the definition of Capricorn. And this is an earth sign. But before I tell you more, start to move your way up, lifting up, and then just switch your legs. However you want to, you can moan and groan. You can go ooh and ah. Ooh, that was a nice one. Ah, we've got the other leg. And like the other side, if you did start by having your chest lifted and being upright for 5 breaths and feel this kind of, it's nearly like a contradiction in the posture where your legs are releasing, you are efforting to lift and open your chest. And after your 5th breath, start to find your way down to the ground again. So the fully expressed posture is to have your arms coming straight forward over your head. That may be there for you today, might be not. And then you really stretch from the tips of your fingers all the way back to stretching your big right toe so it extends the inside of your leg. Do your wiggles and adjustments. Take a breath in, and with your exhale, just sigh out and feel that your body drops more to the ground. I quite like doing this posture here with a bolster or pillow underneath my chest. If you don't have a bolster at home, you can always roll up a blanket, which is like a little mini bolster. You're welcome. So When I started reading about Capricorn as the horned goats, I started to think about what do I know about goats? Because it really, this is part of the basics of trying to not just read your way into understanding, but to intuit your way into understanding that these old symbologies still hold with them an essence of what's trying to be expressed. I won't lie to you. I did start thinking right away of the fainting goats or the goats that end up in trees or in these ridiculously high places. But one of the things goats are known for is to be so sure-footed that they, can kind of run down a stony slope nearly and not lose their balance. As I mentioned, Capricorn is one of the earth signs, and it's the cardinal earth sign. So I have a cardinal Cancer here. I have a cardinal Aries there. And then the other one, Aries, is Libra, the cardinal air sign. And the cardinal part of the expression means that it is the quintessential. It's the one that typifies that element the most. So you also have the mutated or the fixed signs. And you can think of the cardinal as the one that is most expressive of that earth nature in this case. And then the mutated, sorry, is the one that is a little bit more movement in it. So it kind of is more in the inhale and exhale of that nature. So Pisces, for instance, is the mutated one of the water signs. And then the fixed is a very for lack of a better word, deep one, or yeah. Anyways, but we're back to cardinal. And so cardinal really is this expression of being, it's nearly like saying really, it's very earth as an earth sign. It's the most very, very earth of the earthy signs. So we can think of these earth qualities as, qualities that are connected very much to being incarnated here on earth. So practicalities, step-by-step processes, things concerned with materials. And January is often a time when people really try to pull down new intentions or new habits and really bring them to earth. And you're right, start to walk your hands back towards you and reach your chest up and moan and groan a little bit. And you're gonna just roll onto your butt. So you have your left knee in front of you and you're just gonna drop down to your butt here. And I want you to turn and twist towards your knee. And then first take your right hand and just reach your arm along your right leg without seeing it, and then drape your left arm over your head, stretching the whole kind of rib area. Yeah, beautiful, without losing your heart. So this posture is a little less comfortable because we're not kind of cuddling with the floor. And it's most dramatic on your left arm. If that's too much for you, you can always relax your left arm down and just twist it behind your back. Also, some of us are close enough to our right leg that we can actually put our elbow on the leg and rest your head on your hand. But what you want to feel is the stretching in your rib cage. You want to feel your left hip heavy. It's kind of a lateral stretch. You'll be happy to know we're not staying here longer than 5 minutes. We're actually probably not even going to stay 3. So make peace with the struggle. See if you can quite literally soften into the part of the area of the posture that you're fighting with. I mean, this is nearly the principles of Aikido. Talk about bringing things to the earth, where if someone's like rushing at you and like flailing and or very directed attack, what you do is you take their energy and you try to just direct the energy safely to the ground. So this is another quality of earth, that it actually helps kind of when everything is haywire and nuts, being able to get grounded or safely bring something to the ground is a way that actually helps not just protect yourself, but it helps the energy become more connected and rooted and less chaotic. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, you're going to relax your left arm down. And you're going to actually spin towards your right leg and bow your head down towards your right knee. So you might have a couple spins. You might just been doing yoga with me long enough. You can't help but get your little ska elbows up, get a little dance going. And then soften over your beautiful right leg. So before, your chest was open towards the front of your posture, and now you're squaring your chest over your leg. Yeah, you got it, Hedwig. So the new moon and beginnings. There's always this element of the things that are practical, making a schedule, making a plan, putting the right kind of seeds in the ground, so to speak. But then that is the same kind of mirrored process internally, where we set our intentions, or what do we want to grow? What do we want to spend our time helping to be more true on earth? It's sometimes very hard to remember how much we as human beings have changed over time. Like, while the count on my life is like 46 years, my feeling sometimes, like, I forget, and like I think I'm 19 for a moment, or I think I'm 36 or whatever. There's something more mutable and more kind of full of movement internally. But I'm not the same person I was when I was 19. That part of me has been kind of transmuted and integrated. And of course, it definitely helps me be who I am today, but it's not the same. With your inhale, roll up, and then bend your right knee in and stretch your left leg out. And we're first going to turn towards our right leg, other right leg. And then we're going to blindly, trustingly reach with our left hand towards our left foot, our left leg. And then reach up with your right arm and drape it over your ear, feeling the stretch all along your muscles on your ribs. Yeah, you can relax your arm so it can bend around your head, or it might not be like active the whole time. Yeah, and varying degrees. So for some of us, it's easier to keep the arm really extended, and it feels good in the rib cage. Our hip is heavy enough because our groin is open. But other times you have to bend your arm, and even other times you take your arm back behind you, but you're still feeling that your hip grounding down and your shoulders dropping towards your left thigh stretches those little muscles in between your thighs and thighs. It's called your ribs. Basics. So the same thing that's true for my own biography, where, as a baby, I had a very different language than I do now. And this time has marked these different integrations and growths and developments and movement. The same is true for all of humanity. So it's very hard to remember when we're reading history or old stories that the stories are about humans who had a different way of being human than we do now. And you can see certain very kind of like picturesque examples. Like, for instance, it used to be that people couldn't actually read quietly to themselves. I mean, this is after people could read, yeah? But that was not possible, that they had to like sound the words as they read them. And this is part of why in a lot of the monasteries, they have all these little cells where they did their study, not just where they slept, was because they were reading out loud and they would disturb each other if they didn't have these little cells. Now inhale, lift up. And then do a little dance. Maybe you're a little bit more hippie by the second half. Maybe you're more punk. And let your belly twist over, reaching for your left knee, and start to bow forward, softening as you come into the posture. There's other wonderful examples, like people used to think the earth was flat. We used to think that the sun, the earth was the center of the universe and that everything went around the earth. I mean, these are such great examples because, if we look at childhood development, in the early baby years, like very early on, there's this concept that if you're not there, you don't exist in the baby's life. This is part of why attachment parenting and really staying connected with your children at that early age is so important. And as the child develops, it starts to be possible that they know that you'll come back even when you're not there. There's so many more analogies we can pluck out and compare, but we want to start to understand that our biography mirrors this much larger biography of how human beings have developed. So while we can put ourselves with our imagination into another time and imagine what it would be like to be alive, let's say in the 6th century or something, what we struggle to understand is that it's not just an intellectual capacity that changed. Like this idea of the sun being the center of the universe, like on one side, it feels like a really just intellectual step. But if we think about how much the sun affects us and how much the sun influences the way our food grows, the way our body feels, the way that seasons change. Like it's not just an intellectual experience. It's actually even a soul experience. So to move from understanding that believing that the earth was the center of the universe to understanding that the sun is the center of the universe changes a lot of things. And wow, I wonder how uncomfortable that was, or did it all just kind of happen as like how we wake up to a new idea and we can't unthink it? And with your next inhale, start to roll up, wiggle and move however you need to, and then transition into child's pose. So your knees are wide, big toes touching, stretching your arms out in front of you. So even though the moon is dark, we've been doing our moon part of our practice where it's slower and more reflective. And now we're going to move into the opposite side of it where we're going to get a little sweaty, hopefully, Hedwig, if I can help it. And we're going to move a little bit. And the idea isn't to show off or do something so extreme just to look cool. The idea is really to try to find your edges where you feel provoked or challenged. So that we can start to move through these places that are hard and challenging. For instance, like the loss of the stars speaking to us and having to learn what it is that we speak to the stars so that then maybe the conversation can be revealed again. So staying in your child's pose, just start to walk your hands to your right, both sets of hands. So you're actually doing another kind of rib stretch. Perfect, Frida. Take a cycle of breath here. And then walk your hands to the other side. And take another full, rich cycle of breath here. And then walk your hands back to center and stretch your arms even further forward, really feeling that they got longer. And then place your hands on the ground and rise up to a plank pose. Oh, yeah. So we're going dramatic here. So if this is too much for you, if the middle of your body is drooping down, you can always drop your knees, but try to get active in as many muscles as possible. And then move your chin away from your chest. Really advanced, you could try to relax your forehead. And then with your exhale, keeping your knees low, push back to downward facing dog. So your hips really are like the engine here. And then inhale, roll over the top to plank again and stay low, pushing your hips back. So it's really like like the side of a train, an old-fashioned train. Inhale, roll forward to plank. Exhale, stay as low as you can. Reach back with your knees and then reach up with your hips to downward facing dog. One more time. Inhale, roll forward to plank. Exhale, feel the action of your legs as your knees are bent and your hips are thrusting back to pull you into downward facing dog. And then bring your hands maybe one hand length closer to your feet. And then take your right hand to your left ankle. You might have to bend your right knee a lot or a little bit. And then switch it up. Like you're playing like peekaboo, titoot. And then bring your hands walking all the way back to your feet and start to roll up to standing. One vertebrae at a time, taking nice, full, deep, extra breaths if you need it. And with your exhale, bring your hands to heart center so we can Om in. So we want to think of our Oms as also warming up our insides, getting ready for our fires. So let your hands push together so you feel the whole inside of both of your hands, the warmth of your palms, so it's different maybe than the meditation you do. And let your elbows drop. Now reach your heels down and lift up tall through the front of your body, reaching the crown of your head for the sky. Close your eyes, empty your breath all the way, and let's sound 3 Oms. Take a deep inhale. Interlace your fingers and turn your palms upside down and reach up to the sky, maybe a baby back bend, really reaching your hands up high. And then with your exhale, roll forward and walk your hands back to the front of your mat and come into plank. Beautiful. Now in plank, get as many muscles involved with you as you can. And with your next inhale, see if you can lift up to your fingertips on your left hand. And then see if maybe you can bring your left hand to your right shoulder. And then see if maybe staying in plank, you can maybe lift up your right leg. And then sing me a song. No, I'm just kidding. All right, and then bring it back down. And with your exhale, move through chaturanga. Come all the way down to the ground. Take a full fueling inhale here. Tuck your toes under. And with your next exhale, lift back up into plank. It's hard. It's a push-up. Yeah, very traditional. And then start to come onto your right fingertips without jacking your hips up too high. And then see, maybe can bring your right hand to your left shoulder. And then maybe it's harder on this side, you can just float your left leg. Beautiful. And then find your way. Come back to plank. Lower halfway down this time, chaturanga. And then come to the floor. Flip your toes over. Get your legs so strong that your knees lift off the ground and lift up into cobra, low cobra. And then exhale, bring yourself back down to the ground. And then with your next inhale, lift up into cobra again. Push your toenails down to the ground. Exhale, come down. No more, no less. There's got to be one more. Inhale, lift up into cobra. Maybe it's like middle-aged cobra or adolescent cobra. And then exhale, bring your head back down. Take another full inhale, and with your exhale, come back to your knees and transition to downward facing dog. Let your knees be soft, really reach with your butt back up into the sky. Feel your fingers connect to the ground. With your next inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Wiggle your toes, roll your ankle, bend your knee a couple of times, and then bend your knee and let your hips spin open. Now, yogi's choice. Sounds like Sophie's choice, but yogi's choice. See if you can maybe lift up onto your left fingertips. Oh, yeah. Now, if you want to challenge your balance, see if maybe you can reach up and touch your foot, or maybe you can just let your left hand reach up. Yeah, it gets a little challenging. Nice. So maybe you can grab your foot even. Yeah, trying is, yeah, there you go. Bringing it down to earth. Okay, relax your right leg down. And guess what? We got the other side. So inhale, stretch your left leg up. Wiggle your toes, roll your ankle around, bend and straighten your knee a couple of times. Beautiful. And then with your knee bent, let your hips spin open. So you're trying to stack your left hip on top of your right hip. Feel your right heel dropping down. And then see if you can come up onto your fingertips on your right hand. Maybe you got a little bit more and you can stretch your hand back and reach your right foot. Your left foot. Yeah, maybe it's just a slap of your foot, or maybe you can actually grab your foot. And once you grab your foot, you kick into your foot. And then with your exhale, release and bring both feet down to the ground. Take a full breath in, fueling up, let your knees bend. Exhale your breath all the way, let your heels lift up. With your breath empty, jump your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, drag your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down, let your head drop. Push down with your feet, roll up to the sky, stretch up tall, and then with your exhale, dive down again. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, sweet chaturanga or the ground. Inhale, your back bend, upward facing dog or low cobra, but everybody's knees are off the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, bring your knee to your nose, shift your weight to your hands. Now, at the end of your breath, lift your knee even higher and step your right foot next to your right thumb. And then windmill and spin open to warrior two. It's not what we usually do. Take a full inhale here. And then with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. With your exhale, bring your knee to your nose. At the end of your exhale, really jack your knee up into your chest and then step your foot all the way to your left thumb. Rise up, crest nothing, warrior two, ta-da! Take a nice inhale here, tucking your tail if your name's Frida or something else. And then with your exhale, follow your breath all the way down. Beautiful. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your knees be softly bent. Feel your Uddiyana Bandha. So you're pulling that spot 2 fingers below your belly button to your spine. And just for a breath, really bring your chin into your chest and look towards your belly button. Beautiful. Release it. Take another fueling inhale. Empty your breath all the way, and then walk or hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, drag your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down with your feet, roll up to the sky, stretch up tall. And exhale, Samastitihi. Now inhale, you're going to lift up your right knee. And then see if you can take your right knee out to the right. And then you're going to shoot your leg behind you as you stretch your arms out in front of you, coming into airplane. Very nice. Take a full inhale here. With your exhale, bow forward. Your right leg is still lifted. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, one-legged chaturanga. Oh yeah, you can do it, Frida. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Both feet are on the ground now. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale your right leg again. And with your exhale, step your right foot in between your thumbs and windmill up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And then with your exhale, you're going to lengthen and straighten your right leg and hinge into Trikhanasana. Stretch your arms apart. The bigger your step, the more solid your base, the more freedom you feel. Take a full inhale as you feel your hands reaching away from each other, tucking your right buttocks towards your left heel. Take another full exhale. And then with your next exhale, windmill your hands down and come to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Empty your breath all the way and then hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, drag your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Push down to the ground and roll all the way up, stretch up tall. And with your exhale, samastitihi. All right, another new beginning or a strange way to get to the same places. So lift up your left thigh. And then you're taking it out. So it's kind of like an awkward thing. Maybe you need to like make cactus arms to make this pose. Totally awkward and awesome here. Maybe your hands are still in prayer. And then you start to hinge forward as you stretch your leg back. Stretch your arms forward or back in airplanes. Arm forward is warrior three, really hard. And with your next exhale, bring your hands down to the ground. Inhale, drag your chest forward, halfway lift. And then I always feel like I'm kicking my left leg up to have lots of room to jump back to Chaturanga. Does that feel nice? Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. With your exhale, step your left foot in between your thumbs and windmill up. Warrior two. Reverse your warrior, tuck your tail. And with your exhale, straighten your left leg, trying to pull your left hip underneath your right hip and hinge into Trikhanasana pose. So a nice cue for this alignment is you can imagine there's a wall behind you that your body's lying against. So you want to have your left buttocks reaching for your right heel so your hips are in line and your right hip is like right on top of your left hip. Reach to your fingertips, make your hands active to create more space in between your shoulders. Take a full inhale. And with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Oh yeah. Take a full breath in and with your exhale, just sigh it out. Oh. And then inhale, move forward into plank. Pull your belly up, get as many parts of your body involved as you can here. And then we're going to do some slow mountain climbers. So with your next exhale, bring your right knee to your right elbow. And switch, bring your left knee to your left elbow. And do one more slow. And then I want mountain climber runners. So start to see if you can pick up the pace. That's awesome. Your legs literally become a blur on the screen. I love it. Now we're trying to get this elevated heart rate, a little bit of sweat, a little bit of like, ah. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, enjoy your back bend, knees lifted off the ground. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, step your right foot all the way forward to your thumbs. Rise up, warrior two. Yeah. Reverse your warrior. And then with your exhale, you're going to come into side angle variation. So I want you to have your right knee, elbow on your knee. Beautiful. And then you're going to drop your top arm and thread it behind you and bring your fingers to the top of your right thigh. Let your hips drop down more. Gorgeous. Now you might need like a strap or I can give you one, or a extra t-shirt or something, but see if you can take your right hand underneath your left thigh and reach and hold hands coming into the bind here. Very beautiful. So this is a dramatic way of giving yourself a hug. Yeah. Now you're welcome to stay here, but if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you're going to step your left foot all the way up next to your right foot. And then you're going to help yourself stand up, beautiful pair, and lift your right thigh up. Lift your beautiful heart up. And then as if it's like the cherry on top, blossom your toes as you stretch your legs straight up. Let your heart lift. It might be awkward. It might be awesome, or a little bit of both. And then find your way back. So you let your foot come down and then you step back. And then release your bind and bring your left hand onto the ground. Let your left heel lift and stretch your right arm up and lean back into that juicy stretch. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, I love chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in. With your exhale, just sigh it out. All right, inhale, stretch your left leg long. Exhale, step your left foot all the way in between your thumbs. Inhale, exhale, rise up, warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And then with your exhale, come into side angle variation. So you put your left elbow on your left knee, stretching first your right arm. So it's a straight line from your fingertips all the way down the right side of your body to the outside of your foot. And then take your right hand and sweep it behind you and see if you can grab the inside, the top of your left thigh. Let it twist, excuse me, let it twist you open. I was throwing my microphone around. All right, let it twist you open and then see if maybe you can get the bind here. So you drop down and you hold hands so your left arm is underneath your left thigh. Yeah, you. And then see if you pull your chest back to your knee a little bit. And then you can take a baby step first with your right foot a little closer and then step your right foot next to your left foot. Gorgeous. Now grow up, stand up, and blossom. So this is called Bird of Paradise. And I always think more of the flower than the bird. But the way we hop around when we're trying to get it is so much like the Bird of Paradise mating ritual. So maybe blossom. Okay. And then with your exhale, rewind, bring your left foot down, bravely step back. And then release your hands and take your right hand down. Let your right heel lift up and open up into this luxurious little twist. And then with your exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Small bend in your knees. And then inhale, come forward to plank. And very, very slowly lower yourself. I said slowly, lower yourself all the way down to the ground. And then inhale, lift up your chest and slide your elbows forward. And we're going to come into an active Sphinx here for a moment. So we always do this passively. So once you have your elbows down on the ground, you're stretching your feet back, lift up your hips and your ribs. It's you can't see the movement so much. So you're going to lift up your ribs and push down with your elbows, lift up your hips and try to inch your hips more forward and then reach your ribs forward. Does that make sense? Try it in your body. It makes more sense than in my words. Very nice. And then you're going to bend your left elbow and you're going to reach back and pull your right heel towards your buttocks. So you're just bending your elbow so you have more of a thing to relax on. Stay squared with your hips. So maybe you can even feel the front of your right hip coming down towards the ground, feeling that you're stretching the belly of your thigh. And then switch sides. So you might be flexible enough that you can even spin your hand so you're pushing down so your fingers and your toes are pointing in the same direction. Very nice, very nice. I'm so in the mood. I wish we had like half an hour more. Maybe it's just me. All right. And then release your left leg and just gently reach down to the ground. All right. Now, slide your hands underneath your shoulders again. If you want a little extra, pull your belly to your spine and lift all the way up into plank. And then bring your feet forward, cross your ankles, roll over your crossed ankles, and come onto your back. And for today, let's just do a very simple twist. So hug your knees in. And then stretch your arms out and slowly let your knees drop to your left and your gaze goes to your right. You want to make sure your knees are at least as high as your hips. And maybe your shoulders on the ground. That would be your right shoulder as well as your left shoulder. So when we look at all of these patterns in ourselves and in nature, with this exquisite example of giving and receiving, inhaling and exhaling, winter and summer, all of these rhythmical ebb and flows. Maybe we can start to understand these much, much, much bigger rhythms. If the stars really spoke to us, maybe it is our turn to speak to the stars. If nature's always been supporting us, maybe it's our turn to support nature. Hug your knees back to your chest. And slowly drop your knees to your right, your gaze going to your left. We can get so despondent in the loss of things. But this kind of depression and sadness is an essential threshold we have to come across, we have to move through. It's not punishment. That you have had losses or things that have made you sad in your life. It's a little bit like it's not a punishment when the sun sets. It rises up again. And in our own processes, as we move through life, we move through sadnesses and loss, and then this new space creates and allows for a new beginning. But we have to keep our faith through this darkness and sadness so that we really plant the seeds of who we want to become. Roll your knees back to center and stretch out into Shavasana. Of course, if you have another couple hours, feel free to just turn me off and start practicing more. But let the earth hold you. With your next inhale, invite your awareness to the edges of your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes and move your face around. Stretch long with your inhale and then curl into a ball and roll onto your side. Again, finding this darkness that we started our practice with. Notice that it's richer and more charged now. And then help yourself up into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands to heart center. With your eyes closed, just think of the people who are with us in this moment, even if not in the room. Empty your breath and let's close with one final Om. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. Make some noise. Woo. Yeah. Well done. And if you're sore, come do it again. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. And thank you.